Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Kazaam. This is the 1996 movie starring Shaquille O'Neal. It's an hour and 34 minutes long, and yeah, it's very, very 90s. It's about a 12-year-old kid who obviously finds a genie. If you haven't figured that out, if you didn't already know what the movie was, it's about a 12-year-old kid in, I guess, New York, who finds a genie, and of course, Shaq is that genie. Basically, it might have been that, like Michael Jordan had Space Jam. I don't know if Space Jam probably is out by this point, but they were like, okay, basketball stars need to diversify their brand, and more than likely he just got called to Los Angeles. They sat down in a meeting room and said, what do you want to do, Shaq? You want to be in a movie? What kind of movie you want to make? And they checked a lot of boxes. Do you want to be a superhero? Essentially, he is a superhero. He has super abilities. uh, do you want to rap? Yeah. I think he even put out an album at one point. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think he did. Do you want to rap? Yes. Do you want to? Do you want to? There's a BMX race at some point. Do you want to be in a special effects kind of movie? Yes. Do you want to be in a comedy? Yes. Do you want to have it sort of be like how like they do with a lot of sports stars, especially like professional wrestlers. Um, they all have you know John Cena, The Rock, all of them have Hulk Hogan, all the way back to Hulk Hogan. They all had careers where they're tough guys, but in order to soften them up and make them more family friendly, they get put in Disney movies. And we saw that with the Rock with and Vin Diesel too. Let's see, Vin Diesel was in The Pacifier. The Rock was the one with the little girl in the football. He was a football player, and then Hulk Hogan did God knows how many different things. But they do the same thing with basketball stars. You put Michael Jordan with Looney Tunes, you make Shaq into a genie, and that picture is not doctored. In fact, they probably made the kid tall enough just to fit in the picture, because yeah, as stood next to Shaq, and that man is, 20 years after this, more than 20 years after this. Yeah, more than 20 years after this movie was filmed, he's still a massive, massive chunk of a man. If he stood next to me right now, I'm pretty sure you might get his shoulders in the shot. Probably not. Probably not. Yeah. Anyway, Shaq got. It's either Shaq got to choose what he wanted to do, which is everything, or or they said, okay, this is what we got to do to give him a movie star image. And I don't know how well this movie did. It's not a great movie, but it's certainly got Shaq all over it. So um, he stars with this kid who, when I saw the name, I was like, oh, I recognize that actor. I know that actor. Francis Capra plays Maxwell. I saw Francis Capra, I figured, oh, he's gonna play like one of the friends, maybe. But he's high ranking, because when I looked at the main character, he has this long. Look at him. He's this long flowing hair, and I was like, that's not Frank Capra. And then I looked at him, Francis Capra, and I looked at him, and I'm like, holy crap, that is him. That's the same guy. You might know him as Weevil on Veronica Mars. He did an appearance in other Rob Thomas stuff like iZombie, but he's best known as Weevil in as like this gang member in Veronica Mars, and he looks night and day, except for the face. Obviously, when you look at him and you hear his delivery, he is Francis Capra all the way. And I love the guy. He's just a great guy, but it's just so weird to see him as a 12-year-old kid hanging out with Shaq. It's just really strange. If you look at his IMDb, he looks very, very different. They market him also as he's Latino, right? But he comes off as a super white kid with super white parents, like super white parents. I mean, Ally Walker, who I think I had a crush on while watching this movie, and I've seen her in other stuff, but whenever I see her in stuff, she's just. Mm. And then James Ackison plays his dad, and he's super white too. I that's how I'm seeing it. But either way, he's more streetwise than he lets on. I mean, there's a whole. By the way, you can discount this movie as a lot of fluff, and to a certain degree, it is. But it is also, it's got a lot trying to go on at the same time. It fluctuates from silly comedy, buddy comedy, to a fantasy film. By the way, in order to modernize this has to have been made in the wake of Aladdin. Like the whole, oh my gosh, Aladdin is like the biggest freaking movie in the world from Disney. Let's make another live action genie film, and we're gonna put Shaq in the role. The genie the bottle that he lives in, somehow gets transferred into a boombox during a demolition of the building that it's sitting in. I don't know. I must have looked away at that point, but his essence or whatever gets just moved into the boombox, and that becomes the totem in a sense in which yes, it gets carried around because it's the 90s. And yes, it's such a 90s soundtrack, and it's such an it's if you hearken it back to those days, if you're wistful for those, this will feed that hunger easily. So anyway, let me get you the story a little bit here. Max finds the genie, and the genie is insistent on giving him his three wishes, and he doesn't believe that the genie is real. He just figures he's a big creepy stalker who will not leave him alone. And the fact that Kazaam is not really good at being a genie, like his spells kind of fail. He's been trapped in that thing for like 5,000 years in the bottle or whatever, the lamp. I mean, he just can't make certain things happen, and he has certain rules to his genie powers where it can only be material things. He can't make somebody fall in love or bring somebody back from the dead, or it has to be. It's a plot constraint so that the kid can't automatically go, well, his mom is getting engaged to a guy who's really a good guy or a nice guy that Max is not getting along with. Maxwell is not getting along with because, well, he's not his dad, and he assumes that his dad is long gone. He finds out that that's not the case. He's in fact in the city, and he goes on a quest to find him. So there's this whole family parental struggle kind of thing, and one of the things is, okay, I want my parents to fall back in love again. And Kazaam is like, no, can't do that. That's ethereal. That's not something physical that you can control or create. Things would have. It adds another whole wrinkle to the whole mess, where he would be controlling people's emotions and feelings, and would just probably make a completely different movie and probably a much darker film out of this whole thing. But it's good to kind of have those constraints. At one point, what I find really funny is the kid, to prove that he's a genie or not a genie, he's like, I want a pile of junk food from the floor to the sky. Sure, that's what kids that are 12 would automatically wish for. It's a very innocent time, I guess. I mean, he sees Kazaam's powers kicking in and turning after a weird indoor BMX race on weirdly angled ramps that, again, marketed towards the audience. It's not marketed to somebody my age. Even back in the 90s, not something marketed to something in my age. But it's meant for kids to go, oh my gosh, can you imagine if I had an indoor BMX track and I could go around these ramps and jump things, and it's curved tracks that are like angled and things like that. And then I'd be racing Shaq, one of the biggest basketball players in the world. Yeah, come on. You're obviously you're meant to be put in Maxwell's place to live that fantasy, and well, it does get silly, but of course kids would be in 1996 would be wishing for a stack of junk food, and so everything starts piling down. It sort of takes it from the sky to the ground. The room starts raining candy bars and stacks of pancakes apparently, and that's junk food, and just every type of junk food except for Pepsi, which is a sponsor. I didn't see any Pepsi, at least not in bottles or anything. Candy bars, generic candy bars, no brand names or anything else, surprisingly. But to be able to call it junk food and then have it Pepsi be among that, well, that's not a really good. You don't want to have that kind of correlation that your food is junk, that your beverage is junk. So yeah, it's just kind of strange that there's points where there's assistants holding Pepsi up to Shaq. So you got to know that that was product placement, that was intentional. So anyway, this whole struggle, I'm going to tell you a good amount of this film. You still have to see it to believe it. I wouldn't recommend the film at all, but if you want to see what I'm talking about, you kind of got to watch it. There's this, a struggle between Maxwell and Kazaam. There's struggle with Maxwell and his father, who's like, he works with a record company with rap stars, and he's like a producer or something like that. I can't really tell, but there's at some point the words bootleg, no, black market CDs comes into play at some point. Not bootleg CDs, black market CDs. Well, I mean, black market CD? Even in 1996, it's just a weird phrase. And anyway, it's I got. At one point, Kazaam gets pulled into the rap game, which again, Shaq wants to get into the rap game, and he's being pulled away from his duties when he can't get Maxwell to make the wishes he wants in a timely manner, to go so he can go back into his box, his boom box. He decides to start living a life, and he gets pulled in by this sleazy Middle Eastern man whom he has connections. Well, he has a kindred connection with, kind of, in a sense, which it just comes off as kind of racist. But anyway, this guy realizes the power that exists within Kazaam, and Kazaam starts showing off his powers in public while rapping. And when he comes out of the boombox at the beginning, he is rhyming everything he says, so it's not too out of character for him. He's rhyming everything from the start. So there's the struggle between Kazaam living a life of his own while also trying to do what needs to be done, because he has to do those three wishes one way or another for Maxwell. Yeah, it's a weird mess of things, and one of the most uncomfortable situations. Well, there's a couple uncomfortable, weird situations. One of which is when Maxwell wakes up to find Shaq in his bed with him, this gigantic man in this child's twin bed, apparently. He wakes up just to find this humongous man just curled up with him, and he's just, he jumps out of bed, you pervert! And, well, if I was 12 and I woke up with a giant man next to me in bed, I would think the same thing. So, yeah, But yeah, it was just kind of strange. But the really weird part about this is when Maxwell realizes that he doesn't have to make his wishes all at the same moment, no matter how much Kazaam insists. Max goes, so I don't have to make these wishes right now. I can think about it and choose later. So until then, I kind of own you. Yes, that's what you want to say to a practically 8 foot tall black man. Yes, this little white boy. tell the big black man that you own him. Not making that movie today. No, that is not a thing. So yeah, I mean, Shaq's got plenty of charisma. He's not an actor by any means. He's got plenty of charisma. So and he holds his own for the material that he's given. Maxwell, I mean, like I said, Francis is great. He's very much a kind of a bratty kid in this. He's got an attitude. Even he almost doesn't. I think as an actor doesn't believe the kind of things he has to do in this movie. But hey, he is starring in a movie with the biggest basketball player in the world. That's not Michael Jordan. It's kind of a big deal. So I think this actually a Disney film or is this like a Fox acquisition? I can't tell. Yeah, either way. Like I said, I would not recommend this movie, but it does have its weird little moments. It's needlessly complicated with a number. There's bullies involved that are trying, and then it involves a master tape of these pop stars who aren't exactly named, like rap stars that aren't exactly named. And then there's a woman who's working for the Middle Eastern guy in order to find out more about Shaq, but she's dating him, and then by the end, he's kind of walking off with her, like they're in a relationship, and I don't know. But then there's Max, who's trying to reconcile with his father, and also just the terror of this negligent dad at one point trying to drive off with her son. The mom going, holy crap, he's just come back and he's taking my son away. That's terrifying in itself because, deadbeat dad doesn't want anything to do with the kid, but now he's going to show up and take him away. What's he going to do? There's just so many weirdly intense, dramatic moments thrown into this comedy about a kid and his genie. So, and there's also a lot of mythology in this. He mentions the jinn, which is the origin of the genies, of what we consider genies, like in Aladdin and Kazaam here. But the jinn are, look it up, but it's spelled D-J-I-N-N, I think. Either way, it's a lot going on in this, but yet it's really silly. There's even a moment where there's a rap interlude between Maxwell and Kazaam. They rap together about being a genie. I've spent way too much time on this. And I do want my hour and 34 minutes left back, but yeah, I knew it was going to happen at some point, and I got it. So it's been watched now. I never had seen it before, and now I have. And you can too, having heard what I've told you about it. Let's pick tomorrow's episode. See if we can improve.
62.
Oh, wow, right there. I had scrolled right to this exact spot. Okay, here's another movie. And I have not seen this one either, I don't think. But it might be a little bit of a classic. We're going to be watching Black Beauty. So, yeah. Black Beauty is what we got coming up next on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.